Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome to Weight Loss for Women Over 40. Today, we're going to be talking about boredom, stress, and nostalgia cravings. We are continuing in our Craving the Truth series, so I'm so glad that you're here. Last week, we talked about how your environment fuels hidden cravings. So if you haven't listened to that, go back and listen to it. And if you're new here, welcome, welcome, welcome. Make sure you go binge listen past episodes so you can kind of get a better grasp of what my method is and how it can help you. If you are an avid follower, thank you so much for showing up week after week and helping me get the word out about this podcast. I am so grateful for all of you that are listening right now, or watching wherever you're watching, if you're watching on YouTube. So last week I mentioned about some behind the scene things that I was going on in my business and how I was done with my name identity crisis. So if you missed that, moving forward, I am sticking with my given name, Nicole Ternay. So no more Nikki T, and that's okay. And also I want to let's talk socials for a second because all my social media channels or handles, whatever they're called, have changed. So they are all Nicole.Ternay, Nicole.Ternay. So that's on Facebook, that's on Instagram, that's on TikTok, and LinkedIn. I want to invite you to follow me over there because I am getting ready to share my Eliza Doolittle phase, which again I talked about last week a little bit. But I want to share with you as I go through this journey of my Eliza Doolittle phase. If you're not familiar with Eliza Doolittle, it's from My Fair Lady, where Audrey Hepburn is this like Cockney English backwards girl, and Rex Harrington takes her in and turns her into a lady, right? So, granted, I'm not going to be like a socialite, I don't think, but I definitely know this upcoming 6 months for sure, definitely in the next coming year, I am going through some massive changes. For those of you personally who know me, I went through a divorce. It's been almost 3 years having left, and the divorce is finally finalized, all that. And now it's time for me to really spread my wings and become the person that I really want to be. So I just thought I'd show you some behind the scenes because I know that there's a lot of women out there who are taking that next step, that next journey, that next chapter, whatever it looks like for you. And it can be daunting. Thank goodness I have a strong support system because if I didn't have that, and if I didn't have the mindset work that I have, oh my gosh, I would probably still be in the fetal position as a sobbing mess. And not to say that there's anything wrong with that. If you are in that moment, just know that there are other alternatives. You can get out of that fetal position and thrive. So whatever you're dealing with right now, I hope that you know that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. And I'm gonna share with you my kind of low moments. I know Instagram especially is all about highlights. I really want to kind of let you in my world, and really see like I'm not perfect. I'm far from perfect. And I know I have things that I want to kind of work on. And so if you want to watch the journey because you're taking that next chapter, or if you're just kind of one of those people that wants to watch a journey, I want to invite you over to my social media handles. Again, it's Nicole.Ternay. So hope to see you over there. And we are halfway through the Craving the Truth series. So if you are loving these episodes and you're really struggling with cravings, I want to invite you to Crush Your Cravings Live. It's happening this coming Tuesday, June 16th. As of the recording, it's 2026. I'm sorry, I have to take a sip of water. Excuse me. So June 26th, we're doing Crush Your Cravings live. I love my Crush Your Cravings because it works, number one, but it's such a fun workshop to be at. So I would love to see you there. Join me live, virtually live, of course. It's happening again Tuesday, June 16th. It's coming up. You can grab your seats at Weight Loss for Women Over 40, 40 there, .net/crush live altogether. All the links will be in the show notes as they always are. So you can always just click there, or you can go to my website at weightlossforwomenover40.net. So inside the Crush Your Cravings workshop, I am going to teach you my exact method that I use to crush my cravings. And I've taught it to many clients before, and they've also crushed their cravings. Now, granted, when I was crushing my cravings, I didn't have my method in place. I was experimenting, but after going through it, I have kind of distilled it down to 5 steps. And I want to be very clear. This is not dieter's mentality stuff. This is not, in my opinion, stupid diet tactics like sit on your hands or drink a gallon of water or get all the tempting food out of your house until the craving passes or whatever, until the end of time. And it's also not about never eating that favorite food again. I still have cream-filled powdered donuts. Love them. I still have Cinnabon buns. Just recently, this past weekend, I had my favorite cake, which is from a place. I'm going to give them a plug. If you ever visit Swedesboro, New Jersey, um, for all those Jersey people, it's exit 2 off the New Jersey Turnpike, I believe. So Swedesboro has a pastry shop. It's called Sweetsboro, like sweets, the Sweetsboro, but it's in Swedesboro. So it's a play on words. But they have, in my opinion, the best birthday cake that I've probably ever tasted in my entire life. You have to get vanilla and buttercream frosting. That's all I'm saying. So if you go there, tell them I sent you. They probably don't know who the heck I am, but that's okay. My point is, once you go through Crush Your Cravings, you will still have the cravings. They'll come, but they won't be as strong and they won't be as like obsessive and compelling and just this anxiousness that you have to eat the food. And trust me, because I've been there. Now when I decide I'm going to have cake or I decide I'm going to have a cream-filled donut, there's no like obsession about it. You can put a cream-filled donut in front of me at any time and I'm very calm about it. And that's what you're going to get out of Crush Your Cravings Live. So again, join me. It's weightlossforwomenover40.net/crush live, June 16th. So go get your tickets right now. Like pause this recording and go grab your ticket. So let's dive into the topic. All right. Have you ever walked into the kitchen, opened your refrigerator door and stared inside, closed it, walked away, and then 5 minutes later, you found yourself right back there again? And it's not because you're hungry. It's not because your body needs fuel. It's because something felt off. And I think one of the biggest lies that women have been told about cravings is they're all about food. And they aren't. They're really not. Most cravings that you have very little to do with hunger. In fact, some of the strongest cravings you'll ever experience aren't coming from your stomach at all. They're coming from your emotions or your thoughts. And today I want to talk about 3 cravings I see constantly with women over 40. First one is boredom cravings, stress cravings, and nostalgia cravings. Because once you understand what's actually happening underneath this, everything's going to start to make a lot more sense. So let's start with boredom. And before you tell me, Nicole, I'm not bored, my life is crazy, hear me out. Being busy and being stimulated are not the same thing. I see women all the time who are exhausted, they're overwhelmed, they're running from one thing to another, they're constantly putting out other people's fires, and yet they're completely disconnected from any happiness that they have. There's no creativity outlet that they have, and true excitement is absent, and they're very disconnected from themselves. And I tell you this, I can totally relate to this because this was me like 14 years ago. I thought I was thrilled about life and everything, but I was very disconnected. And so I get it. And what happens is food becomes the easiest little hit of pleasure available. So you know that feeling. It's like 2:30 in the afternoon and you've already checked your email. You've scrolled through social media. You've been working. You're answering messages. And suddenly you're thinking about chips, chocolate, or something crunchy. Maybe that candy bar that's still half eaten, or maybe it's not half eaten, maybe it's still wrapped. Um, and the thing is you're far from hungry. Like there are no hunger signals happening whatsoever. And it's because you're looking for an experience, some sort of stimulation, a break from the monotony. Food then becomes your entertainment. I've talked about this before, how ingrained food is in our society, especially in America. The problem is the entertainment of eating the food only lasts for about 3 minutes or however long. Chances are, if you're emotionally eating, it's going by very fast. It's not like you're savoring every little bite or morsel. Maybe you are, but chances are, I think you're not. And then you are right back where you started from. Still bored, still restless. And now you've probably added on top of that some frustration because the craving wasn't asking for food, it's asking for something more, something about your life. So let's talk about stress cravings. These are very sneaky because they feel so physical. Clients will tell me, I needed the chocolate. I couldn't stop thinking about it. I was obsessed with it. This is how I was with cream filled powdered donuts. You'll hear all about it when you attend the Crusher Cravings Live. And I usually ask, well, what happened today? What was going on? And almost every time there's some sort of story, whether it's in an argument with a spouse, a difficult conversation maybe with your kids, there's a financial concern, maybe you opened up those bills and you were concerned about how you were going to pay them. Maybe there was a health scare, you got a call from the doctor that says, hey, call us back, your test results are in, or maybe work, or maybe your parents called you and I know sometimes your parents call you and they don't tell you why. And worst case scenario, especially if you're, again, in that sandwich generation, we automatically tend to go to the negative, right? Something happened. And here's what I want you to understand that when you're stressed, your brain is not looking for nutrition or fuel. If anything, a physiological response, think about it. When your body is in like fight, flight, fear, or fawn, fuel is the last thing your body is thinking about it because it's conserving energy, right? That primitive brain kicks in. So your brain is not looking for food, it's not looking for nutrition or food, fuel. It is looking for some sort of relief. These are two very different things, right? Food works very quickly and it distracts you and provides you instant comfort. Food gives you something else to focus on besides the uncomfortable feelings and emotions that you are carrying around. And for a moment, it does work, but what happens is that emotional component still exists way after the food has passed through your system. And here's the thing, emotional eating does kind of work, right? That's why it exists. It does kind of numb us a little bit. Because if it didn't work, we wouldn't go gravitate towards food, right? In stressful times or emotional times. So the problem is that it's only working temporarily. And stress is still there when you're done eating. And feeling overwhelmed is still going to be there after you eat that candy bar. Uncertainty is still going to be there after you eat that ice cream. And then you're going to add some frustration, guilt, and shame all on top of it. You've simply positioned the conversation you needed to have with yourself in a different way, right? So, meaning you're gravitating towards food instead of having a conversation with yourself of like, what's going on? And when you realize that, when you become the observer of what you are doing and what you're thinking, I just find it fascinating. I could talk about psychology all day long about this. But when you realize what's going on, you start asking different questions. You start asking, why am I craving this food? What feeling am I trying to avoid right now? That is so much more of a powerful question than probably like the question of what's wrong with me? Why do I keep eating this food? All right, let's talk about nostalgic cravings. These might be my favorite because they're kind of sneaky, right? They're rarely about the food itself. A client tells me that she's craving homemade cookies or mom's macaroni and cheese. It's funny. So I went home this past weekend for a birthday party, and my mom was making mac and cheese. And the way she makes it, I don't even know. I'll have to get the recipe from her, but it's like it's not the yellow cheese, it's some sort of white cheese. I don't even know. White cheese with elbow macaroni, but she puts this stuff on top of it that gets like crunchy. Um, so it's like yummy mac and cheese on the bottom and then this like crunchy stuff on top. And I used to throw ketchup on it back in the day, but I saw her making it and I was like, ooh, and instantaneously I went back in time to the mac and cheese and I could see me putting ketchup on it and enjoying every bite of it, right? It triggers something in you. We assume that you're craving the food, but it's not about the food, it's what the food represents to you. It could be safety, it could be just communing with family. It could make you feel comfort. Like that macaroni and cheese that I think of, that makes me feel comfortable. It makes me feel like comfort food, right? It could be a connection. I think I've told the story. I know I've told the story on the podcast. So my my dad and I, when I was a teenager, we would go to the gym. This was my first kind of experience with going to a gym. I guess I don't know, 13, 14 maybe, like when we started going. He's always been an avid, he likes the aerobics classes, so he's a very social person. So he used to take me and we would go work out. And then after the workout, we would drive down the street and go to Roy Rogers, which, if you're in New Jersey, I don't even think a Roy Rogers exists anymore in New Jersey. I know there's still some in the United States, but we used to go to Roy Rogers. I would get a double bacon cheeseburger, milkshake, vanilla milkshake, and fries. That's what we would do after the gym. So I have a connection when I do see a rare Roy Rogers, my brain goes right back into that moment of having fun hanging out with my dad in the gym and working out, right? So we got endorphins kicking in from the workout. We've got fun time hanging out with dad. And then to top it all off, one of my favorite things growing up was vanilla milkshakes. And so we would go, and Roy Rogers was the connection, right? So things that come up in your life, they could trigger maybe when it was a simpler time, right? As an adult, you have a lot more adult responsibilities and things like that. When you're a kid, you just, we played all day, showed up at night, and maybe you got a treat, maybe you whatever, right? There's there's something that triggers inside of you a memory. And sometimes those memories aren't necessarily happy ones either. So just be aware of that. A smell can transport you 20 years in the past, right? So if I know my mom makes, she calls them Philly chippers every Christmas, and they're like chocolate chip cookies things. Now, I'm not a big chocolate chip, like, I'm not a big chocolate person at all. Like, I usually, every now and then, though, I like a chocolate chip cookie, but it can't have a lot of chocolate chips in it. Anyway, but she makes them at Christmas, and the smell of them brings me back to Christmas every year, right? As a kid. Um, so things that you taste, things that you smell, recipes, like, especially recipes of someone that you've lost. If they're not here anymore, they can really tug at those emotional strings, right? So when life feels uncertain, it's stressful, maybe you're lonely, maybe you're feeling overwhelmed, your brain naturally wants to return to what is familiar to you. Doesn't mean it's gonna get you to your goals. It's just what feels familiar to you. So food becomes the doorway. It's the bridge back to the feeling that you want to feel, or the bridge for a feeling that you want to escape. The interesting thing is that most women think eating the food will satisfy the craving. And 9 times out of 10, it does not. Because what you're actually craving isn't the cookie, it isn't the cake, it isn't the thing. It's the comfort or the connection with the mom that's no longer here, or the memory of a time that you can never get back. And no amount of food can fully recreate that, right? Because those memories we have in the past, we can't ever go back there. We can't ever recreate them no matter how much we want to, because it's in the past, it's already happened. This is why I believe cravings deserve curiosity instead of criticism. Most women immediately make cravings mean something negative about themselves, like they're weak, they have no willpower, right? I can't keep it together, or I'm addicted to sugar, I'm self-sabotaging myself. But maybe you're stressed. Maybe you're feeling lonely. I got news for you. You can be married and still feel lonely. I know that was me for a very long time. A lot of times you can disconnect from yourself, right? We get into these roles of mom, PTA mom, wife, whatever it is, caretaker, and you disconnect from who you truly are. And I know for me, a lot of it when I was craving things, it was excitement. I love the dopamine hit. And this comes from a trauma response for sure. For me, calm and boring feels not safe. It does not feel safe to me. Now, I'm getting better at that, and I'm realizing that calm and peaceful is something I want and something I'm working on, right? And I knew that I found this out, on my own healing journey over the past couple of years, especially getting into a new relationship that is calm, that isn't trauma. Like it's not toxic. And to me, it was interesting because it was like, I'm really bored. And I'm not bored of him. It's just being bored was what I needed. Right. And I mean bored in the best way. Right. Because again, if you come from a trauma response where you're getting dopamine hits, whether it's in the like a positive thing, right? It feels like a positive thing, but it's not. You're going to want to crave something that gives you excitement, right? I don't want to dovetail down that too much. I just, as a side note, this kind of stuff that I'm kind of edging towards, I'm going to be talking about in the Maven Heart podcast, and that is going to be coming out very soon. So make sure you're on my email list. And to get on my email list, you can go to Weight Loss for Women Over 40 .net/reset and download that free ebook, and that will put you on my email list. And then you'll know when Maven Heart's coming out, because Maven Heart, if you love this podcast, Weight Loss for Women Over 40, and the direction that I talk about psychology and feelings and all that stuff, you are going to love Maven Heart. So definitely get on my list for Maven Heart. Okay. So keep in mind that when you're craving, you could be craving comfort. Sometimes you just need some rest, right? Maybe you're craving connection. That's a big thing too. Um, and what I want to offer is maybe your cravings aren't the problem at all. Maybe that is just the messenger. And you keep shooting the messenger, right? If you keep doing that, you're never going to hear the message. So meaning if you're getting a craving and you're automatically going to that emotional release of eating, you're never going to learn the message. Get into Crush Your Cravings live and you'll understand what I'm talking about. So the next time a craving hits, I want you to ask yourself, what's going on right now? What am I observing physically and emotionally? And I hope there's no background noise right now because they're doing a lot of construction outside and there is a huge Mack truck slowly backing up down my road. So hopefully you can't hear it. Anyway, what are you observing physically and emotionally? Ask yourself if you're bored. Ask yourself if you're stressed. Maybe you're looking to connect with a loved one who's gone. Maybe some nostalgia. What is this craving actually asking for of you? Because when you start to answer the real need, instead of automatically feeding the craving, that's where freedom begins. And again, this isn't about food, really. Shocking on a weight loss podcast. It's not about the food. It's about you being a human being and experiencing things. So if this episode resonated with you, I would love to hear from you. Send me a message through Instagram over at the new handle, Nicole.Ternay, and tell me which one resonated with you the most. Was it boredom? Was it stress? Was it nostalgia? Which craving? Which craving do you identify with the most? Because awareness is always the first step towards change. So again, I want to invite you to Crush Your Cravings live June 16th. Go grab your tickets at weightlossforwomenover40.net/crush live, all smushed in there at the end. Next week, we're continuing Craving the Truth series, and we're going to be talking about reprogramming emotional triggers. So I hope you'll join me for that. I would love to, again, see you at the Crush Your Cravings Live. That is coming up next before the reprogramming emotional triggers episode drops. So until next time, keep craving the truth and stay honest with yourself. And I will see you at Crush Your Cravings Live. All right, take care.